The radio hit the water at midnight. No splash. No echo. Just gone. For 10 years, Kang-hun had been North Korea's most reliable weapon. He never missed, never hesitated, never asked questions. Tonight, he asked one. What kind of country am I dying for? The answer was in the document tucked inside his jacket, Plan 2026, 63 pages, stamped classified, detailing the coordinated massacre of South Korean civilians, orchestrated by people on both sides of the border. He'd read every word. Then he threw the radio into the Han River and disappeared. Within 4 minutes, Pyongyang's kill order was already active. Within 6, Seoul's own intelligence service was hunting him too. One man, 2 governments, and a 17-year-old girl who was about to change everything. Lee Myung-jun didn't pace. He didn't panic. He just picked up a blade and started sharpening it. Kang-hun cut the signal. His voice was flat, almost bored. That's not a defection. That's a declaration. His subordinate stood rigid in the corner. Your orders, sir? Wake every cleaner team in Seoul. Lee drove the knife into the table. He's mine. I take him personally. 3 miles away, NIS team leader Park Jin-chul was staring at a blinking anomaly on his monitor, a ghost signal. 10 years cold, suddenly alive again. He grabbed his coat. Kang-hun, he said quietly. You stubborn son of a... He was out the door before he finished the sentence. Kang-hun, meanwhile, was already 3 levels underground. He'd built this exit a decade ago, a sewer route through the city's blind spots, memorized during the years when he was the one doing the hunting. He moved through the dark without a flashlight, hands trailing the walls, counting turns. At the end of it, a brick wall. Behind the wall, a weapons cache nobody alive knew about. He checked his pistol, pocketed a false ID. From here on, I'm not Kang-hun. I'm a shadow. The frozen storage room was Kang-hun's idea. Lee's cleaner teams had heat sensors. Standard issue. Effective in every environment except one sub-zero cold, where human body temperature becomes indistinguishable from the walls. He led them in. 4 men, blades drawn, scanning for a target that the sensors said wasn't there. He came out of the dark fast and clean. 2 down before the others registered the movement. The 3rd caught an elbow to the throat. The 4th he let run. Someone needed to deliver a message. Don't follow me. Next time I take more than your pride. But Lee didn't get messages. Lee got creative. He torched the market. No warning. No negotiation. Just a fuel canister and a lighter, and suddenly Dongdaemun was a wall of fire. Vendors screaming, night sky bleeding orange. Kang-hun came through it on a stolen motorcycle, punched through a barricade, and disappeared into the subway grid. Park arrived at the burning market 20 minutes later and found something scratched into the debris, small, precise, unmistakable. Kang-hun's mark. He decoded it in under a minute. There's a traitor inside the NIS. Watch your back. Park stood in the heat of the dying fire and felt something shift in his chest. This man wasn't a criminal. He was trying to warn them. Then came Sua. She stepped out of the shadows at the end of a dead-end alley, 17 years old, face streaked with soot and dried blood, a battered USB drive pressed against her chest like a heartbeat. Park had his weapon up. Kang-hun was against the wall, bleeding through his jacket. Shoot him, Park said, and you kill the truth with him. Sua stepped directly in front of the gun barrel. No hesitation. No flinch. This drive has everything. Her voice didn't shake. The money trails. The names. The proof that your own leadership made a deal with Pyongyang and tried to start a war using him as the trigger. Park's finger went slack. She was 17 years old, covered in blood, holding evidence that could bring down 2 governments, and she didn't blink. The sky cracked open above them. Lee Myung-jun's elite units descended on the demolition zone from all directions, helicopter rotors, mortar fire, the works. A nearby building came down in a single shot. Fire everywhere. Inside the chaos, Sua sat down at her laptop, hands steady, eyes clear. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't look for a signal. She opened the uplink she'd built herself, threaded into news servers across 4 continents, and started sending. Financial records, classified communications, 47 names. Every screen in Central Seoul went static, then live. The massacre in the demolition zone, broadcasting in real time on every major billboard in the city. Citizens stopped mid-stride and stared. A mother pulled her kid against her chest and couldn't look away. Pyongyang panicked. The kill order was rescinded. Too late for Lee. He'd already stopped taking orders. He drove the blade into Kang-hun's chest and the building came down around both of them. When the NIS director's voice came through Park's radio, calm, clinical, final, eliminate the girl, burn the evidence. That's what's best for the state. Park stared at the radio for a long moment. Then he laughed. Not the laugh of someone who found something funny, the laugh of someone who just watched the last thing he believed in collapse. He dropped the radio, ground it under his boot, and called in his own strike team on an unauthorized frequency. If this is what the state looks like, I'm done protecting it. The antidote was on a submarine. Of course it was. Lee still alive, because men like Lee are always still alive, had planted a delayed nerve agent on Sua during the relay station fight. Her lungs were shutting down. Her nervous system was going quiet. The only cure, sealed inside a classified lab. Pyongyang's property, except Lee had a sample, and Lee was offering a trade, Sua's life, or 1 million people in Seoul. Kang-hun's answer was to throw himself at Lee's throat. It didn't go great, but it bought Park enough time to activate the EMP and bring every drone in Seoul's airspace crashing down in a shower of sparks across Gwanghwamun Plaza. The crowd that had been running for cover stopped, looked up, cheered. Kang-hun hit the Han River without hesitating. Cold water, open wounds, he didn't slow down. Found the submarine hatch, pried it open. Lee was waiting inside. The fight was short and ugly. Lee had mechanical augmentations, now 1 arm, 1 leg, rebuilt after the relay station. The kind of thing that happens to men who refuse to stay dead. Kang-hun let him think it was working. Then he pulled the poisoned blade out of his own chest. Lee had driven it in earlier and drove it straight into Lee's cardiac regulator. Blue sparks. The machine arm went limp. Lee went down screaming. Kang-hun found the antidote in a metal case in the corner, pressed it against his chest, and ran for the hatch as the submarine started its death roll. He broke the surface. Park pulled him out. The antidote. Kang-hun pressed the case into his hands. Get it to Sua. Then his eyes closed. His heart stopped. Park's hands didn't. The antidote reached Sua in time. The black marks faded. Color came back. She opened her eyes and reached for the hand next to her. Where's Dad? Is he okay? Nobody answered. The door opened. Kang-hun on a gurney, barely breathing, but breathing. Park had kept him going through sheer refusal to accept the alternative. The last thing you need to know? The NIS director was arrested on the floor of his own building. 47 politicians were taken into custody by a program Sua had built and set to trigger automatically. Dead Man's switch activated the moment she hit send. And Kang-hun, officially deceased, permanently sealed in a classified archive, retired to a tangerine farm on the western edge of Jeju Island. Every morning he walked the rows before sunrise. No nightmares, no ghosts, just the smell of citrus and wet soil, and the sound of a 17-year-old girl yelling from across the yard that she got 100 on her math test and she wanted meat for dinner. He called her his daughter. She called him Dad. Park came down sometimes and they'd fish off the rocks, laughing about the chase through Gangnam like it was a story that had happened to someone else. The most dangerous man in Korea. Growing fruit, fixing fences, waving to his neighbors. Nobody knew. Nobody came looking. And for the first time in 20 years, he slept without dreaming of the dead. The perfect operation isn't the one where you win. It's the one where you disappear into something worth protecting.